What is up, y'all? Capone Tony here, and welcome to another Ever Crisis video, and welcome to my tier list video of like all the costumes in the game, technically. So this is a tier list specifically on, hey, what should you use this new 2nd anniversary gear voucher on? I think this is going to be kind of helpful for newer players, and just kind of like a history lesson of all the costumes throughout the game. I'm going to go through every costume, even if they're not eligible. I will give you like a brief rundown of what they did and explain why they may not be eligible, and just tell you the ones that you maybe should consider for each character in the game, ones that are eligible for this voucher. So yeah, let's set up the tier list now. So I'll start with newer Arcanum costumes. So if you don't know what an Arcanum costume is, it's specifically a big boost to a specific element, typically. A lot of different costumes to choose from that do that type of thing in this game. You know, like boosting lightning, wind, water, fire, ice. Did I say them all? I think I missed one, but yeah, a lot of costumes that will boost one specific element, and it typically is ties to a specific element or a weapon that's already in the game. So there's like a weapon and a costume that go together, and yeah, a lot of costumes that are eligible that are newer Arcanums, and then there's a lot of costumes that are older Arcanums. So you know, you get it. It's like pretty much older weapons, older costumes that most cases I would say probably not worth grabbing, but I'll give you my reasons why and whatnot that you might consider some an older Arcanum. And then we'll go to I guess good support, or we'll just go support / tank costumes. So these are costumes typically that will help with either like a character's like defense up, a character's buff debuff extension, you know, things that help support characters, you know, be good in the party. So the last option, I'm just gonna say, don't bother. I've done 2 videos like this, by the way, already, and they typically view pretty well. So yeah, I think people like this tier list type of format. So here I am, part 3 for this type of video. So don't bother is specifically like, you know, these are just really old costumes. They just have like stats on them that you can just easily get from weapons, not even worth considering. So yeah, all right, let's do it. So I'm going to divide this on a character by character like setup. So yeah, I'm going to like timestamp it so you can kind of skip through each character and see which costumes I kind of recommend and give you my reasons why. So all right, let's start with Cloud. So Cloud, this is his default. This is a gear exchange costume, and this is our first one that's eligible. This is Murasame. This is definitely on the older Arcanum. It goes with his Murasame weapon. It boosts lightning damage or lightning potency like 35%, and I think boost attack as well, boost P attack. So yeah, this is definitely on the older side. The next one is this is the Water Mastery one, his sailor outfit. I would say this is on Don't Bother. Anything that's a mastery is like 20% to an element instead of 35, so that is very dated nowadays. Any mastery is not worth grabbing. And then this is his healing costume. So this one has like healing potency. You can make a Cloud a healer. It's a Halloween one. Definitely on the Don't Bother list as well. This is not eligible. This is Zidane costume from the Final Fantasy IX crossover. Anything that's a crossover or limit break banner is not going to be eligible. Only featured banners are eligible. This is his New Year's outfit. This also falls in the older Arcanum. It is boosting fire potency. It goes with his Sky Splitter weapon, 35% fire potency. This was half anniversary, not eligible. This is Monster Hunter, not eligible. This is 1st year anniversary, not eligible. See, characters like Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, they're going to have a lot of stuff that's not eligible because the game treats them pretty well with limited stuff. This is the Locke FF6 crossover, not eligible. And then his Wind costume, I would say this is on the newer Arcanum. So it came out in December. It's like a Christmas like sweater type of thing. It's a Wind Arcanum, 35% wind damage, and it goes with his Holiday Blade weapon. Then this is like a New Year's like exclusive shop ticket, not really worth getting it even at the time. It was like it boosted like 2 like fire and ice resistance and fire and ice damage or something. It's kind of like one of Red XIII's costumes. And this is eligible for, it's a support costume for Cloud. It does like buff debuff extension and I think like HP and defense or something like that. Honestly, I don't think it's really worth getting because Cloud's not really a support character, but I feel like every kind of character has this type of costume as an option, but I don't think it's a great fit for Cloud. And then the rest of his stuff isn't eligible. This was his last featured costume. This was a Ice Arcanum costume, and this one, it also did like magic ability damage too. This is like a newer Arcanum, but it doesn't meet a cutoff date for this voucher. And this is his newest costume outside of the 2nd anniversary. This was the Monster Hunter, or not Monster Hunter, but Dragon Quest. So yeah, out of everything here that is eligible for Cloud, yeah, the Wind costume is enticing. It's probably his newest Arcanum, but I'll say this right now. If you got his 2nd anniversary costume, I would say nothing here is worth grabbing at all. I would say the support costume is the only thing that's kind of unique. But like I said, again, Cloud is not a support character, and you would rarely get any use out of that costume. So, yeah. If you got the new anniversary costume, definitely you don't need any of these. And even if you have the Bahamut costume, you wouldn't even need Murasame or the Fire one or the Mastery. I would say the Wind one is the only one that would not benefit from Bahamut because Bahamut gives you physical like damage, and the Wind costume kind of goes with a magical weapon. So yeah, I would say if you don't have any of Cloud's like limited stuff, then I would say maybe the Wind costume if you don't have a Wind DPS. That's a thing again. You got to kind of pick based on your account as well. If you're like good on a specific element, you don't really need to get the same element again. Also, at the end of the day, just pick what you like. And also another thing, like maybe you should just save this voucher until you absolutely need it for specific content as well. I've done that in the previous 2 tickets that we've received. I've kind of just waited until a specific event, specific guild battle where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to use it for this specific content, right? It's finally time to choose something. Well, all right, that's kind of Cloud. That's everything that he's gotten in the game so far. So now let's go to Barret, who's gotten like jack shit. So Barret, he is probably one of the most neglected characters in the game, sadly, even though he's an amazing character. So Barret has his default. He has a gear exchange voucher one. And then this is the first one that's eligible. This one just has like physical attack or something. It's stuff you can just easily get from weapons. Don't bother. This costume, honestly, one of the better options when it comes to support and tank because it's kind of been like a forever type of armor for Barret. It's the Electroarmor. It does double defense up. I think it also does HP up. So it's pretty perfect for his role as a tank character. And yeah, it's actually really good. I think I use it a lot still. And then he has the Rebirth costume, which is actually really good as well. Has Reprieve, but this was a crossover, so it's not eligible. And then this was also a crossover, the Final Fantasy Ever Crisis Academy event, the high school thing. So yeah, that's all Barret's gotten. This was like a Wind like Arcanum as well. So yeah, that's all that Barret's gotten. He's only has 2 things that is eligible. And yeah, if you want something for Barret, I think the Electroarmor is probably the best option. But honestly, if you have the Rebirth crossover outfit, I almost feel like Electroarmor is not really super necessary either because it has like all resistances and the reprieve. Yeah, so yeah, sadly Barret, just not many options in this game, even though he's an awesome character. Now we're going to go into 2 characters here that have tons of options. So we have we're going to start with Tifa. So Tifa, she has her default costume, she has gear exchange. And then the first costume that's eligible is this one, the Lifeguard one. Not really necessary because it has, it's just healing. It's a healing costume for Tifa, and Tifa's not really a healer. FF9 is not eligible. Was it Amaranth? And then there is the Christmas costume. This is an Ice Arcanum, older Arcanum in the game, so it boosts ice potency. And then there is this was what 15% physical like ability damage from the FF7 Rebirth crossover, not eligible. The Bunny Bustier is on the Older Arcanum as well. This one boosts water damage, 35%. And then we have, again, one of these weird outliers where you can make Tifa into a support character, even though she primarily is used as a strong, beat up everybody DPS character. So it does like 60% the buff debuff duration. So it is like another one of these where it's like every character kind of gets one, but it's not the best fit for Tifa. And then we'll go to this costume, which is her fire Arcanum costume. Magic fire weapon goes with her shell knuckles. Also, this costume here goes with her bunny gloves for the water weapon. So Tifa's got a lot of Arcanum options in this game. Next one, we will go to the Bahamut outfit. That was a first year anniversary, so it's not eligible. This is the Sabin outfit. It was not great either, honestly. It was pretty much the same type of thing as the Rebirth crossover outfit. I think it just did physical ability damage, but it's not eligible. And then the New Year's costume, probably one of her best costumes in the game, but not eligible. It was an exclusive New Year's limited banner event. And this is 1.5 year anniversary, the Odin outfit, not eligible. This was a Quake Arcanum. And then this was a crossover again. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis Academy. That was a Wind Arcanum costume. And then this was the last featured costume she got, but it was after the cutoff of this Voucher. So this was a Water Arcanum as well that did physical ability damage. So as you can see, Tifa gets a lot of limited costumes. And unfortunately, a lot of it is not, you can't redeem it for this Voucher. But what I would recommend based on Tifa, she has like 3 different Arcanum costumes here. But I will say if you have her New Year's outfit, you do not need any of her Arcanums. So yeah, if you have the New Year's outfit, definitely don't need it. Even if you have the Bahamut outfit, I would say you don't really need her magical Arcanums, the fire one and the water one. And yeah, so because the Bahamut outfit boosts her magic damage by a decent amount, where to the point where it's almost like you don't really need the specific Arcanums for those costumes, the magic ones. So yeah, if you have New Year's or you have Bahamut, then it's like you don't really need a lot of these, and they all do fall under the Older Arcanum. I think the fire one is probably the strongest out of all of them because it ties to the shell knuckles, which is like her strongest featured weapon. It's a magic fire weapon. But new Sephiroth, if you pulled on him, he's actually he's the best magic fire DPS in this game by far. So there, that's another thing to consider. But yeah, those are the options for Tifa. Now we'll go to a character that's constantly limited, Aerith. So Aerith, that's her default. That's gear exchange. This is just flat stats, so I think this is HP and like magic attack. Absolutely don't bother. Older Arcanum, this is her Wind costume. Honestly, one of the most beautiful costumes in the game, but it is tied to the Prism Rod, which is an older Wind DPS weapon, and Aerith is not really DPS, so I'm not really sure how much use you get out of that, but she has a couple Arcanum costumes. This was a gear for Halloween, Chocobo outfit, can't get that. What is this? The Dagger outfit. You can't get this. This is FF9 crossover. And then she has a Ice Mastery costume. Again, when I say masteries in this game are just not great, they're just like weaker Arcanums. This one boosts 20% to ice potency, so not really super worth it. Then we go to this costume. I think this falls more under the don't bother outfit because yeah, it boosts like buff debuff extension, but it's just like the points version of it. If it was like a separate stat, then I would say maybe consider it, but I would say no for this one. It's a kind of just stats that you can easily get from your weapons. So then she had a Fire Arcanum, which goes with her Egg Staff. She has a Fire Arcanum weapon, but again, I would say for the Arcanums for Aerith, I don't think are super necessary because you're not going to be using her as a DPS more often than not. She's going to be your healer and support for most battles. And then you go to her last, well, this is Kamara, by the way. You can't get Kamara. It's probably never coming back since it was a Capcom crossover for Monster Hunter. And then I think this is the last thing that she actually has eligible. I would almost put it in the don't bother section. It's kind of a magic ability potency. I'm not sure where you would put this. I would say it's maybe on the arcanums. It's technically not an arcanum though. Nah, I'm just gonna put it on don't bother. It boosts her like magic ability potency by like 15%, which is kind of worthless for a character like Aerith. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll go through the rest of her costumes though. She had her Bahamut robe. This was for 1 year anniversary. She had, and it's probably one of her best like plug and play costumes. She had the Terra outfit for FF6 crossover, buff debuff extension on that one. Also, Kamara did buff debuff extension, and then she had the Reprieve costume, the New Year's costume, Reprieve, and like HP healing, things like that. The FF7 Rebirth crossover. This was her dress that she sung. No Promises to Keep. Another limited costume. This was pretty much okay, brain fart right now. It was like a ATB boosting costume. It's kind of unique for Aerith, or just any character really. And then she had a water arcanum as well. This was the Ever Crisis Academy, not eligible. And then she had the last feature banner she had was a it was boosting lightning to the whole party. It was like a kind of an Arcanum costume. It did 15% lightning boost to all 3 characters in the party, so that is kind of unique. And then she had her Dragon Quest outfit, which was like HP all allies. Something else kind of unique. I'll be honest, a lot of the costumes, I think, out of all these like costumes for Aerith, I think the ones I use the most when it comes to limited stuff is her Bahamut robe and her Crimson outfit. Sometimes I use Terra as well if I need that extra buff debuff extension. Outside of that, I don't really use anything else for Aerith at this point in the game. Just to kind of give you a heads up in case some of these costumes do come back and you kind of want to consider getting some. But yeah, based on what's eligible for this crossover or for this ticket though, I would say kind of steer clear of Aerith. A lot of her featured stuff is very old in this game, and if again though, if you just want to pull based on cosmetics and whatnot, I think this is one of the best looking costumes in the game, the Wind costume. But yeah, that's up to you. For me though, I would say Aerith is a lot of her featured stuff very old and just very dated. And yeah, she gets treated very well when it comes to limited stuff. All right, so let's go for Red XIII, who, again, another character that has not gotten a lot of stuff, but let's do it anyways. He's got a default costume. He's got his gear exchange. He's got this first costume's Don't Bother. It's like boost physical attack, his beach costume. Very, very dated. This costume here is his Rebirth crossover costume, is not eligible. But it also did like fire and water damage with fire and water resistances. I used this costume a long time as like just a default for him. And then he has this costume, also Don't Bother. It is his what was it, like Cosmo outfit or something? I forgot what it was called, but it did like buff it just did debuff extension, and that was kind of weird. It was actually decent, it was actually a decent option for the first anniversary voucher, but now he has this outfit, the pirate collar, which I'd say is probably on the top tier near Barret's for support. It did buff debuff extension, kind of similar to these other characters, but the cool thing about this costume is that I think it also had heal as well, which kind of, fits his role as a healer. But yeah, this is a really good option. If you don't have this costume, his limited costume is actually still running right now. You can draw for it. It's his pirate costume. This has reprieve and buff debuff extension, so this thing destroys this one. But if you're not drawing for red and you just want something that's pretty good, that's plug and play for him, I think this costume is really good. The other costumes, not worth grabbing at all. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's eligible. You also have the Dragon Quest costume, which was free, which is actually not too bad, but it was like a small lightning boost and like some other stats, but you can't get it now because it's just only part of the Dragon Quest crossover. Okay, that's Red XIII. That is it. Next here we got Yuffie, who honestly she gets a lot of featured stuff. They treat Yuffie very well in this game. So she has her default gear exchange. She has what is this? The buff debuff buff. It was like buff debuff points costume. Kind of unique when it came out at its time because it was the first costume that had buff debuff extension. But nowadays, tons of characters have this type of costume. But this one only did buff debuff when it came to points, so it wasn't like its own separate stat. She also had a wind arcanum. This one just did 35% wind with physical attack. Let's see. She had a quake arcanum too. I would put this maybe on the newer side, even though it's kind of old. But it is kind of unique enough to feel newer because there's not a ton of physical quake arcanum options in this game. So yeah, I'll throw that there. I'll even throw this fire one up here too. I think I threw this one in the older costumes last time, but it is technically new. It is technically older, but this costume has had a lot of use in recent events. I'm not sure if it's going to keep being that way, but it's kind of came in clutch for a lot of these like dungeon rankings, battle rankings. I think it was good in a guild battle as well. So yeah, this one is a fire arcanum for Yuffie. So it got a lot of decent use recently. And next here, we got the Bahamut costume, which is not eligible. This was first year anniversary. And then we have this costume. I think this is on the newer side as well. Ice Arcanum costume, but she got her like rocker outfit, which is honestly better in every way compared to this costume. So if you have the rocker outfit, you don't need this one. But honestly, this is like one of my favorite aesthetics in the game. I love the little Red 13, Little Red Riding Red 13 outfit. It's an amazing aesthetic. And then she had another wind costume. So you don't need to consider this one. This is a better wind costume because this one does like wind arcanum plus 35%, but it also does like wind points, like another like 15 points or something like that, 10, 15. So it's just like a straight on wind outfit that can be good for two different weapons she has. She has a physical wind weapon and she has a magic wind weapon. So yeah, I think that might be it when it comes to what's eligible for Yuffie. She's gotten some other things along. No, she actually has one more costume here. So she had a rebirth costume. This was a water arcanum, but it was exclusive to the FF7 rebirth crossover. She also had a buff debuff. I think this one is eligible. So I would say Yuffie might be in the middle tier when it comes to this. So again, this is like another costume that has like buff debuff extension. I think it also has like double defense too, which is like pretty good. But again, Yuffie is mostly going to be a DPS character in this game. That's her role as an attacker. But she does actually have a decent amount of weapons that do buff and debuff. She has a lot of elemental like resistance down weapons, like double defense down weapons. She has a defense up weapon. So yeah, I mean, you can use her as a support character in this game, but most of the time I'm not. If she's in my party, she's going to be doing some damage. So yeah, let's go back down to her outfit. So she also had the rocker outfit. Again, this is not eligible, but this is pretty much better than her other arcanum. This was an ice arcanum that did like magic ability damage. This is just an ice arcanum and that's it with like defense. So yeah, this one, if you have it, you don't need this one at all. So the options for Yuffie, I would say she has like a bunch of like, I would say that costumes that fall under the newer arcanum, even though these two are technically older. I would say they're good enough to the point where it's like worth considering. And yeah, but the thing about Yuffie is if you have her Bahamut outfit, I don't think you really need to consider her physical arcanum. So this one was physical quake, this one was physical fire, and we also have to wait to see what she absolutely gets for this next banner that's going to be coming out in 8 days. She might get an Omni-arcanum. If she gets an Omni-arcanum, you don't need any of these arcanum outfits. So probably better to wait to see what Yuffie gets in the future before just grabbing a costume, unless you just want to grab something for an aesthetic. So, but right now, if I were to recommend something, I think any of these costumes could be good for your account. It just depends on, what element you need to fill out. If your account's missing a specific element, you're weaker on a specific element. Like if you look at your max damage challenges, like what are you the weakest at? That might be a sign for you to pick you know, to help you pick on, you know, what Arcanum outfit you should get. All right. So that's all of Yuffie. Now we go to Cait Sith, who's a character that doesn't get support at all because it's Cait Sith. Sorry to the Cait Sith mains out there. But so Cait Sith, he has his default. He has this gear exchange costume. He also has a this costume. This is actually a very unique costume for Cait Sith. I would throw it under the older Arcanums. So for this costume here for Cait Sith, it's like a crit Arcanum outfit. It's definitely unique. It's the only costume of its kind in this whole game. So it kind of goes with his yellow megaphone weapon that does a lot of damage. It does like triple damage if you hit a crit. It's like a 30% chance. And this costume will directly tie with that weapon, give you extra crit damage. So I have never seen this used in the game. I've never seen it used for any type of content, but it is, you know, unique enough to, you know, worth considering. It also has buff debuff points, which is actually pretty good for Cait Sith. So yeah, maybe one day you might need this crit Arcanum, and yeah, it's always going to be eligible for these gear vouchers. I don't have it, and yeah, I don't use really Cait Sith anyway, so yeah. Then he has Monster Hunter, that's not eligible, and then he had this, which is a typical like buff debuff type of costume. So this was like HP defense, buff debuff extension. I think this fits Cait Sith better because he is more of a support character in this game. And yeah, having an extra 60% buff debuff is not a bad option for Cait Sith. I will say if you have his Rapper outfit, this one right here, you don't need any Cait Sith costumes because it has Reprieve and it also does other things, like support things. So yeah, out of the stuff that's eligible, he has his unique crit Arcanum. He also has the typical buff debuff extension costume. But if you had the Rapper one, I would say you don't really need to consider either of these, in my opinion. I mean, the crit Arcanum is unique enough to the point where it might get used for something one day. But yeah, that's pretty much all Cait Sith has. The character does not get much support. So Vincent has his default. He has his gear exchange. He has this was his first costume. It was limited. It's actually his Reprieve costume with a Quake Arcanum, so not eligible. He also has this, which is kind of on the, I would say kind of on the don't bother, but it's not even Arcanum really. It does boost magic ability damage. It went with his Hugin and Moonin non-elemental magic weapon, but it also it can help any kind of magic weapon that he has. But I would say this was more on the don't bother side nowadays, unless you specifically tie it with Hugin and Mugen. It's only a 15% boost to magic damage. What's the next thing here? So he has this costume, which I think is on the newer Arcanum list. I think this one is definitely worth considering in my opinion, because Magic Lightning is something that's very, very rare in this game. It's his it's his October Halloween outfit. It goes with his Magic Lightning weapon, Crow Familiar. So that is honestly, it's a very strong Magic Lightning weapon. It ties directly to this costume, which is a 35% Magic Lightning Arcanum. Something I honestly might consider, because Lightning's probably one of my weakest elements, because a lot of the Lightning stuff has been exclusive to like limited events, crossovers, things like that. So this is probably your best option in the game when it comes to Lightning. Right here, definitely Magic Lightning is the Crow Familiar costume. And then he had a Fire costume. So this is a physical Fire Arcanum on the newer side as well. This went with his physical Fire weapon, which is also another strong weapon. It goes up to 1120% with the based on the condition. And yeah, another 35% to fire damage. So Vincent has newer Arcanums. The problem is Vincent doesn't have any kind of exploit weakness or any good really offhand weapons to kind of go with these builds. So that's where he's kind of lacking. He needs extra support from other characters to kind of get the most out of his DPS builds. And yeah, that's the downside to Vincent. He hasn't gotten a lot of stuff recently either. So he also got another one of these characters that has like buff debuff costume. It's just weird. Yeah, he's an attacker character, a DPS character, but he also has a 60% buff debuff costume. I think it also has defense as well, something like that, HP defense. Honestly, I don't think it's worth getting because you're not using Vincent as a support character, even though he does have kind of support weapons and he somewhat can be kind of used in that role, but I still look at Vincent mainly as a DPS character. And outside of that, he also had his 1.5-year anniversary outfit. This was an Ice Arcanum, a newer Ice Arcanum, but it's not eligible. So based on the eligibility here, I think you can go pretty well with either of these two outfits here, the Magic Lightning outfit and the Physical Fire outfit. It just kind of depends what your account needs. And yeah, I am definitely considering the Magic Lightning one. Even though we kind of just had a lot of Magic Lightning content and it might not be used again for a while, it would still fit a hole, fill a hole on my account specifically. All right. So now we're going to Cid. Again, another character that has not gotten a lot of support since being released. So he has his default gear exchange, and then he had the astronaut outfit. I actually drew on this one. I think it was a cool looking outfit. I think it did like buff debuff extension, like all allies and like something else. It's like a support costume for Cid. And then he had his Magic Lightning outfit. This one's actually eligible. So this is on the newer Arcanum side as well. This is, when it comes to Arcanums, this is like one of the newest ones that is eligible. And the cool thing about this one is that it is like the newer version, the new version of Arcanum. So this one is like the Super Arcanum that has like elemental damage up. It does Magic Lightning damage up. And it also does like magic ability potency damage, 20%. So very good costume here. The only problem is Cid is a support character. He's not a DPS. So the weapon that goes with it is an AoE weapon. So it's not like a big single target damage weapon. Kind of niche when it gets used. It also does lightning debuffing too. So it'll be good for lightning teams, but that's kind of it. But yeah, this is not bad. I know a lot of people wanted this for the guild battle. Was it last month? It would have came in clutch for a lot of people, and a lot of people skipped it. So now is your chance to grab it if you want it. So is that it for Cid though? Yeah, that's it for Cid. I would say, yeah, if you really want a good Cid costume here, this is a really good one, I think, and his only option. The Magic Lightning Arcanum costume. If you had to choose between the two, I think I like Vincent more because it's more single target. And it goes with a strong weapon, but it's an option here too for Cid for Magic Lightning. Okay, so Zack, he got a lot of love early in the game, then that love kind of tailored off. So Zack, he got his default, another like default. I think this was like free after like clearing a certain chapter in the story mode. And then you got a gear exchange. You got the beach costume, which was part of the first summer event. You got this costume, which is kind of crap. This is just buff debuff, or no, it's not buff debuff. It's just points. It's like physical attack, things like that. Just stuff you can get from weapons. This one's just physical ability potency. You can just get that from weapons. This costume here is just like a buff debuff points costume. Again, I think not really that great of an option. He had his half anniversary costume, which was like a fire arcanum costume, not eligible. And then he had this, which is an older arcanum, but it also did have like buff debuff extension points. So if you consider this one, you definitely don't need this one. And next thing is Monster Hunter. You don't need this, or you can't redeem this at all. It's a limited event. And then, honestly, newer Arcanum as well. One of the best options, possibly. The thing is, this is, on paper, an Omni-arcanum. We haven't seen any Omni-arcanum beside the Zack one that's been featured. The problem is, Zack does not have many featured weapons that go with this costume. And it's going to be... we don't know if he's ever going to get any other featured weapons that go with this costume. Maybe he will in the future, but yeah, this is an Omni-arcanum. On paper, it's really, really good, but the problem is he only has, I think he has a physical ice weapon and a magic ice weapon that really make use of it. He might have some like AoE weapons as well, but yeah, mainly he's only benefiting from this with his ice weapons, because if you have his other limited stuff, odds are you're probably going to have his limited costumes to go with it, except like maybe the wind weapon he got from the Final Fantasy IX. And you can get his magic fire weapon slowly over time through that limit break draw if you did not get that costume. So there is that as well. But yeah, on paper, this is actually a really good costume for Zack. And, you know, if you're a Zack main, I think it's absolutely worth grabbing, or you just love Zack. So yeah, the Butler costume for Zack, it's a pretty good one. And then you have other stuff that is just limited. So Zack got, well, he got his beach costume. This is a more recent one, but it's not eligible for this event. And then he also got a, what is this? The Dragon Quest outfit, which was a really good fire costume. So, yeah, that's pretty much all Zack got. I would say if you want to consider something for Zack, I would say I think the clear choice is his Butler costume. And, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. So next character is Sephiroth. Again, Sephiroth is a character that's gotten a lot of featured stuff early on. Then he kind of just went toward limited stuff. I think that's kind of in like the game in general though. So Sephiroth got his was it the default? He got a gear exchange, his Ice Arcanum. Definitely on the older side. This was toward Magic Ice. Went toward his Edge Wings. It's a Magic Ice Arcanum. And then he got Mastery. So this is a Wind Mastery. Not worth really considering. Because Masteries, again, are just a 20% boost to an element. Very dated. Then he got Kuja, which is limited to FF9 crossover. He also got this, which is his New Year's one. This is another Mastery. Sephiroth was getting a lot of Masteries in this. Kind of unfortunate. This is a Fire Mastery for Sephiroth. This was during New Year's. Not really worth considering. Then he started getting other stuff. He got his half anniversary outfit. I think this one was for magic ability potency, 15%. Then he got another Wind Mastery for whatever reason. He got 2 Wind Masteries. And then he got a Water Arcanum. So this is on the older side as well. It goes with his Tempest weapon. Yeah, 35% damage to water. And then he also got a Earth Arcanum, which is also kind of on the older side. It went with his Blue Bramble weapon. These were like 2 buffing and debuffing weapons that also did damage. So yes, Sephiroth was in this weird state in the game where he was kind of like a support / DPS. He wasn't like one or the other. So eventually he got more bigger DPS weapons over time. Like this one, starting with the FF6 crossover, he got a strong magic water outfit, the Edgar outfit. It was a water arcanum, but he got a strong magic water weapon to go with it. And then he got the Odin outfit, which is honestly one of his best plug and play costumes in the game. It is a multi-arcanum, so any of his other arcanums is pretty much not worth considering if you had this one already. Then he got the cool Metal Gear Solid looking outfit. I don't think this was eligible. It wasn't eligible. If this is eligible, this would go under newer, but I don't think it's eligible. It is a newer Wind Arcanum costume. It's a very strong one. And then he got Dragon Quest. So this was a Lightning Arcanum, right? So that's pretty much Sephiroth. He got a lot of older Arcanums, a lot of feature stuff early on, then he kind of tapered off. I'll say if you have the Odin costume, absolutely not worth recommending Sephiroth. But then he also just has other costumes that are just based on, you know, single elements. So he has like an ice one. I think he's going to get a newer Ice Arcanum for the his banner coming up in this second anniversary. So I would definitely say this is not worth grabbing. And yeah, the other ones are just kind of niche outfits, Arcanums for weaker DPS weapons. Weaker DPS weapons that do debuffing, which I don't think is really worth considering either. So when it comes to the Sephiroth stuff, I would say a lot of his stuff is kind of skippable in my opinion, especially if you have Odin. Odin costume kind of like trumps everything, and what he gets in this anniversary might be really, really good as well. Just kind of might have to wait and see what he gets. All right, so when it comes to Glenn, he has his default, he has his gear exchange. He also has like a story outfit, which is kind of similar to a gear exchange. Pumpkin outfit. It's honestly a cool looking costume, but it's just physical attack points. Not really worth it. He also had his half anniversary water arcanum. He also has this, which is eligible. It's on the newer side as well. So he has a ice arcanum that kind of doubles as a kind of a support tanky costume. So this one's actually pretty decent. It goes with a newer ice weapon. So yeah, but the thing is, Glenn, he's not really a DPS character. He's a tank. So that's the other thing with Glenn. But it is a ice arcanum. It is newer. So there is that option. And when it comes to Glenn's options, that's pretty much the best he's got. Because his newest costume did not meet the it didn't meet the time for this gear exchange. It wasn't eligible. So this was like a really good one too. This one actually has reprieve along with like stats for his tanking. You know, it's just a good tanking outfit for his tanking build. It fits his role as a character. So when it comes to Glenn, he only has like a couple options, and the clear option is definitely the Ice Arcanum if you want that. So yeah. And then we go toward Matt. Matt was one of the best support characters in the game early on. Then he kind of tapered off, and now he's kind of come back again. So when it comes to Matt, he had his default. He has his gear exchange. No, this was like a story outfit, and then he had gear exchange. And then he had the Killer Hornet, which is kind of garbage. It's just P attack stats, which doesn't make any sense for Matt. Doctor outfit at the time was really, really good, but I would say this is more on Don't Bother either. It's just kind of stats. It's like HP and heal, which kind of fits Matt, but I don't know. I don't think it's like super necessary nowadays because you can easily fill those stats from your just weapons and sub-weapons. When it comes to his other stuff, I think the Christus costume, I think, is one of the better support options. So yeah, I like throw him up here. So this one had buff debuff extension, I think, with like also like HP and like defense or something like that. I forgot what it was exactly, but it is a good option for Matt because that is his role as mainly a healer, buff debuffer type of character. So yeah, one of the good options there for him. And I think that's pretty much it. So his last thing he got was his like ninja costume, which is a really good costume for Matt. It's his reprieve costume. So if you actually have this costume, the ninja one, you don't really need anything for Matt, I would say. The only thing I'd say worth considering is the support tank costume here, the support costume, because it has buff debuff extension, the Christmas one. Excuse me. I am talking a lot, and that was a mouthful. But we're almost done here. So we're going down to Lucia now. She has her default. She has gear exchange, story outfit, FF9 crossover. All of it's not eligible, or just, you know, just part of other things. And then she has Earth Arcanum. This is definitely on the the older Arcanums. It's kind of unique though because there's not a lot of Magic Earth stuff in the game, but I actually got this with my first anniversary voucher because I had nothing when it came to Earth, and yeah, I got it at the time, but there are definitely better options than it nowadays. This one is like kind of a hybrid. It's like support tanky. It's like kind of tanky because it has elemental resistances, fire and ice. Also has fire and ice damage, and also has buff debuff extension points. It's an option when it comes to like buffing and debuffing. I mean, it's an option for her, and it also has an amazing looking costume, but I think she has better options when it comes to supports and whatnot. Like this one, the Beach Agent. I think this is definitely worth considering as well because it has buff debuff extension like 60% with like HP and defense. Pretty good for a character like Lucia, who is mainly a support character. This costume as well. It's kind of similar to Barret's costume where it got like double defense, like 20%, but you know, it's just given to Lucia. It also has poison resist, which is a one-of-a-kind outfit. I don't think it ever saw any type of use that poison resist. If it was a poison resist AoE, I think that would have been pretty neat and kind of unique, but since it's just a single character not being poisoned, it's kind of pointless in my opinion. But it is an amazing looking outfit. It's the Ada Wong Resident Evil 4 outfit, so I think it looks pretty cool. I think it's a worthy option as well. I think I kind of like this one more than the buff debuff extension points one because getting defense is harder, I feel, than getting buff debuff extension on a character, on a support character. So I think I like this one more. And then she also had an Arcanum outfit. This is on the newer Arcanum side as well. So it's kind of similar to Cid. They were both on the same banner, I believe, where she got a physical Quake Arcanum. It's technically physical Quake. It can work for both of her Quake weapons. By the way, she has 2 Quake weapons. So this costume would go well with 2 weapons, which is kind of unique. It also had physical ability damage on it, which wouldn't really benefit her magic Quake weapon, but the elemental potency of the Earth Arcanum, yeah, she has elemental 30% Earth on this costume, which will go well with 2 weapons. So I think, honestly, not a bad option. Plus the costume looks amazing. Again, she gets a lot of like really good looking costumes. And yeah, if you're lacking on Earth in particular, 2 different Earth things, she kind of fills out. Even though one of her Earth weapons is more, the physical one is more of a buffing and debuffing weapon. Well, I think it's mainly just debuffing. It does, yeah, her Earth weapon like debuffs physical defense and I think Earth resistance, but it also does Earth damage. It's just not a lot of it. And then she just has an 800% Earth damage weapon. So this costume I think is actually pretty good. I think it's one of the better options you can choose when it comes to, you know, an Arcanum costume in this game. But yeah, when it comes to Lucia, if you want to grab a support costume for her, I think these 2 are you know, 2 of your best options. If you want to grab the Earth Arcanum, I think this one is definitely a great option. So yeah, that's Lucia. Also, she had her limited costume, which is still, I think, still running, by the way. So this is actually a very good costume because it has Reprieve. It also has a Fire Arcanum. And yeah, this is actually really good. So if you want to build Lucia, I think this is the best way to go. But even if you do have this costume, I still say like her other support costumes are still a good option for, you know, specific builds. But this costume having Reprieve is you know, a forever type of costume that you can just kind of throw on her anytime. All right, so last character is Angeal, which I don't think he has anything that's eligible. So he has his default, he has the gear exchange, he has a limited costume. This was like his first banner as a limit break banner as a water arcanum. He also has what was this? I think this was Cyan for FF6. It was just a gear, random gear for that. He also has 1.5 year anniversary costume, which is not anything special. Well, why did I say that? Not anything special. It was actually a good costume. It has Reprieve on it, but I did not grab this costume, and I felt I did fine without it. But yeah, if you loved Angeal, you would have grabbed this costume, I think, because it had Reprieve on it. And then he had his like beach outfit, which I kind of forgot what this even did. It might have been like a buff debuff extension type of outfit, but it went with his water, applying a water element weapon. I don't think it's eligible for this gear ticket. So yeah, I think that kind of covers it. Yeah, Angeal doesn't really have anything. so yeah, looking at this list here, I think you have a decent amount of options when it comes to Arcanum costumes. You have a decent amount of options when it comes to support character costumes. And yeah, just kind of go with what you, I feel, what would fill out your account the best. And again, I would say just ignore everything I said. If you just want to pick based on cosmetics, that is up to you. I think I picked basically, you know, I picked for my 1.5 year anniversary voucher. I kind of just picked based on cosmetics as well, because I had an ice DPS with Sephiroth, but I still grabbed the little red outfit for Yuffie because I think the cosmetic looked amazing and it went really well with a strong ice weapon. So, you know, that's up to you. To get the most bang out of your buck, though, you just kind of have to look at your own account. What element are you lacking on? Then you would grab that specific Arcanum costume, I feel. And if you were lacking on a good support costume for a good support character that you use often, I think, yeah, Electroarmor, you got the Red XIII Pilot one, you got the Matte one, you got a couple Lucia ones, Cait Sith one. The other ones are like DPS related characters, which I don't think you're going to use them as support characters, but they are options as well. So for me personally, what I would consider based on my account, I'm weakest when it comes to lightning, and there's not a lot of lightning stuff in this game. So I would probably consider the Vincent Magic Lightning costume, maybe the Cid Magic Lightning costume as well, because this one is kind of newer. It has magic ability damage on it also, but Cid's mainly a support character. But also I might just grab the Zack costume because it's a multi-arcanum. but even though he doesn't really have weapons that go with it because a lot of his stuff was limited. And yeah, for me personally, yeah, if you have the Cloud costume, the newest costume, you don't need to consider any of his Arcanums. Same with like characters that have a multi-Arcanum costume, you don't need to consider their single Arcanum costumes, like Tifa's New Year's outfit as well, Sephiroth's Odin outfit, you know. So yeah, kind of a mouthful, kind of go through all the characters I talked about one by one, and then you can kind of make your decision from there, I feel. So yeah, that is it. This is my video, my tier list video, kind of covering all the costumes in the game. Big mouthful, need to drink some water now. And yeah, that's going to do it for this Ever Crisis video. If you enjoy my Ever Crisis content, please give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all on the next one. Later.